We're here on opening day, just 1 week before the Kentucky Derby. The sun is shining, a big crowd is on hand here. They've come to see the Derby trial, the last stepping stone before the big race itself. Beautiful sky, and it may be an opening day record crowd, more than 30,000. Still, however, it'll pale in comparison to the 135,000 and more who'll be here next Saturday. It's an exciting afternoon, though. The crowd celebrating the arrival of spring, and perhaps the rebirth of a fallen idol. The horse named Houston, a super horse in March, a failure in April. He'll be tested by 5 other horses. You pay your money as always, and you take your choice. And then there's the Kentucky Derby Winner's Circle. About this time next week, 1 horse and 1 alone will stand there. Good afternoon. I'm Jim McKay reporting from Churchill Downs. Here we are, and here we'll be next week. Our long journey of the prep races ended, getting ready for the Chrysler Triple Crown Challenge. That begins next week with the Kentucky Derby. A $5 million pot of gold waiting at the end of the rainbow for any horse who can win all 3 races, the Derby, and then the Preakness 2 weeks later. And 3 weeks after that, the Belmont Stakes on June the 10th. The $5 million pot is waiting. Can any horse do it? Well, that, of course, is the question. The question today is whether Houston can come back. Now, there are already 2 solid favorites for this year's Kentucky Derby. Easy Goer, who, if the race were held today, would be held probably at 3 to 5 or even 1 to 2 odds. But Sunday Silence, the winner of the Santa Anita Derby, is also a very tough horse, and he would have a lot of support. The race isn't being run today. There's one more chapter to be written. Houston, who was a failure in the Santa Anita Derby, tries to come back today in the Derby trial at 1 mile. Let's take a look at the specifics of this race. The purse you see there, almost $85,000, 1 mile out of a chute. They will not be going around 2 turns. The track is good. It's just been upgraded from muddy. You see the temperature there at 79 degrees, and the wind is negligible. I'll look at the odds board now to see how they stand in this field of 6 that will go to the post. Affirm's Image at 19 to 1. Malik is the way that's pronounced at 5 to 2. A lot of support for him. In his cup, ridden by Pat Day at 8 to 1. That's a jockey change today, by the way. And for the other 3 horses, Pulverizing from Maryland, 25 to 1. Houston is the 1 to 2 favorite today, ridden by the remarkable Lafitte Pinkai Jr., and one that got away, 12 to 1. So that's the way the field shapes up at this moment. Charles E. Canny, a little bit earlier, talked to 2 very, very interesting men.
Well, Jim, with me now are 2 of the most watched, most talked about humans of this Derby week, and rightly so. For this is Shug McGahee on my right, who's the trainer of Easy Goer, and on my left is Charlie Whittingham, who's here from California with Sunday Silence. And Shug, this morning you made a pretty important announcement that you're not going to send Easy Goer out there alone next week.
That's true. I decided yesterday morning to go ahead and run on sparring in the Derby. He can't. His Flamingo, I think he's a lot better horse now than when he won the Flamingo. He worked last Tuesday in New York and went better than I'd ever seen him go. So watching him down here, I thought he was doing well. So we thought that maybe 2 chances were better than 1. Easy Goer hadn't been able to stand up and tell me, you know, Shug, I'm going to win the Derby. So, you know, we thought we'd better go on and take the best chance that we had. And I think that On Sparring is a horse that's on the improve. And, you know, you can't ever tell in horse races what might happen. So, you know, we're going to take our best chance.
Well, Charlie, what do you think about him double-teaming you like that next week? Easy Goer was one thing. Now he's got a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, well, probably saw my horse, but looked him over, and he said, well, I better take it. Don't take no chances.
We're all interested in seeing you 2 back here next Saturday. Have a good week training, and we'll see you here in a week.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you both for being here. We'll go back to Jim.
Well, there's Houston. Somebody asked his trainer the other day if he had any regrets about the Santa Anita Derby. He said, I do not dwell in the temple of regret, nor do I hide in its shadows.
Very few horses have their names changed. Now, Bob French and Barry Beal named their runners after the towns and cities of their native Texas. So when they paid almost $3 million with Lukas for a yearling already named Seattle Angle, well, they went through the procedures to change it. But what to? Well, if you pay so much and you have such high hopes, forget about the little Texas towns like Marfa and Terlingua. Go for something big, like Houston. The arrival of Houston was much heralded, and when the colt won his first start by 12 lengths, he gave reason to think his high price was justified. Could the Lukas barn send out 2 Kentucky Derby winners in a row? Last year, the filly, winning colors with a balanced attack of speed and staying power, earned the blanket of roses. Houston started his 3-year-old campaign with a plan for only 2 races before the Derby. This smashing victory in the Bayshore put him in the headlines and on schedule. Next stop, Santa Anita, in the midst of a record heat wave. It was trouble from the word go. After a bump with Sunday Silence, Houston recovered and forced the pace, but was finished by the quarter pole. Jockey Lafitte Pincaid Jr. didn't push or punish Houston. After the Santa Anita Derby, he seemed okay, but later tests showed he suffered some dehydration.
After the race, we checked him, and only to find out that his electrolyte count was down, and that, of course, is going to stop any of them. And once we were able to balance his electrolytes, he's had a great 2 weeks since.
The plan was altered. Houston would prep here and get a race over the track, but only 7 days before the Derby.
The Derby trial, I'm hoping, is going to be something that'll push us forward, not backward. It's a race that I'd like to see not real tough. I'd like to see him get a good, solid effort. I want him to blow a little bit, get something out of it, but I don't necessarily want him to go down there in 33 and change either.
Ever the optimist, Lukas hasn't lost faith and expects to be there next Saturday.
Well, I'm planning on running him in the Kentucky Derby. I think he's as good a horse as I've ever had here, and we've had some nice ones here, and we've had some that weren't so nice, but I think he's definitely a Derby horse.
And Houston is 1-2, the favorite here in the Derby trial. Second choice is Bellique at 2-1. And owner-trainer Louis Roussel says if he wins, he's still not going to the Kentucky Derby. One that got away, the last one, ready to move into line, a field of 6. 5 horses have gone on from this race, the Derby trial, to win the Run for the Roses. As you see, the stakes and track record there probably not in jeopardy because the track is off. One that got away, in line, and they're off. Toward the inside, that's in his cups between horses Houston along with Pulverizing. Now Pulverizing takes command with jockey Alan Stacy by a head. Houston on the outside is right there, and now those 2 match strides. 2 back. In his cups is racing third. At the rail, Affirm's Image moves through quickly, followed by One That Got Away, now racing 5th, and the trailer is Bellique, 6th and last, about 9 lengths off the lead. Moving down the backstretch, the first quarter in a quick 22-1, and it's still Pulverizing. The speedball on the front end has the lead by 3 parts of a length. Houston on the outside with Pincaid is right there second. 3 back, Affirm's Image is racing third. Then on the outside in his cups 4th, Bellique is now 5th, and on the inside by half a length, One That Got Away trails. Around the far turn, there goes Houston, charging up on the outside and taking command by half a length. Pulverizing drops back into the second spot. Affirm's Image is racing third. On the outside in his cups is 4th, Bellique, not gaining on the leaders, and the trailer is One That Got Away. The half in very, very fast time, 44 and 2 3/4 in 1:10. And at the top of the stretch, Houston is all alone, showing the way by 3. Bellique from between horses, charging up into the second spot, and down the stretch they come, a furlong to the finish. Houston has the lead by 3.5. Bellique is second at this point. Affirm's Image is racing third, but through the stretch and to the wire, with no pressure from Pincaid, Houston wins it by 4. Bellique second by 7, then Affirm's Image races third. Houston snapped back to life this afternoon with a monster mile in 1 minute 36 and 1/5 seconds.
Oh, yes. So now we have at least 3 favorites for the Kentucky Derby. Houston is back in business, Charlesy.
Jim, I think Wayne Lukas got just what he wanted out of this colt today. He bounced him back for a big effort this afternoon. Lafitte Pincaid was just sitting chilly on this horse. Almost looked like Pat Day on Easy Goer last week in the wood. He just sat there, let Pulverize take those fractions down to the turn, and then he let out a notch. Houston responded with a big run through the stretch, and he wraps up on him, gives him an easy race. Wayne said he didn't want a tough mile, and he didn't get one.
Lafitte, this is Jim McKay. Can you hear me?
I'm talking to you, Lafitte.
Can you hear me, Lafitte?
I don't hear anything.
Can you hear me, Lafitte? Apparently Lafitte cannot hear us today. Okay, let's go back right now to isolation. Here he is, Pulverizing in the lead.
And that is when Lafitte decided to go ahead and take aim on Pulverize and let him go. And Houston just lengthens his stride. He makes this move very easily. No one else is gaining. Eventually, Louis Roussel's colt Balik will make some effort through the stretch, but this is all Houston's game here. He's got a lovely way of going. He is a lovely big horse. The big question now here, as he finishes out what is ultimately a public workout here, is can he come back in 7 days? Yes, he won the Derby trial. Yes, he's impressive. But he's coming from a position I'm sure Wayne would rather not be in. He would rather have not been beaten in the Santa Anita Derby. He said he can do the difficult right away. The impossible takes a little longer. He's behind schedule, and this will be asking a great deal of Houston to come back and win the Kentucky Derby going around 2 turns for the first time in his life.
Well, that's the thing. He still has not proved whether he can go around 2 turns and win, but I think the positive is to be accentuated here this afternoon because he couldn't have looked much better, could he? And he didn't look like it was taken very much out of him.
This is why they call Wayne Lukas the high priest of optimism, as they called him in the paper this morning.
Well, he will not have to dwell in the temple of regret this evening. There's the unofficial order. Houston, the winner. Balik, second. Affirms Image, third. That is, however, unofficial. We will have the official result shortly. And there it is official. Houston, the winner, paying $3, $2.40 and $2.40. Balik, second, paying $2.60 and $2.60. Affirms Image, third, paying $3.40. And the number 3 horse In His Cups finished 4th of the 6 who ran in the race. Let's get a quick impression of this race from you, Dave Johnson.
Well, first of all, the fractions opened a few eyes. That 44 and 4/5 seconds was a very quick half mile. Houston looked sparkling in the trial this afternoon like his old self. Balik went a very good mile, Jim. We're going to be hearing, I think, a lot about Balik as the 3-year-old season wears on. And Houston was actually gearing down near the wire. A big race for him, Jim.
Well, we're here with the trainer of the winner here, Wayne Lukas. First of all, I appreciate your coming over here. You got a bad back and you had to go under about 3 poles there.
Well, Jim, it's a lot better that I have a bad back than the horse anyhow, so that's not so bad.
Does that half mile in 44, was that a little too quick for you?
Well, I thought these horses are most of them coming off of sprints, and I felt that there'd be some speed, and I told Lafitte just to ride his own race, not get caught up in the fractions. It was quick, and but this is today's race, and next week's a different scenario, so I'm not too concerned.
What do you have to do between now and next Saturday to finish off Houston's preparations?
Well, Charleston, not really too much. I think that having an out over the racetrack, for example, some of the heavy heads that are going in the Derby work, Charlie had Sunday Silence out this morning in 39 and change going a mile, so I don't think we have to do very much. We'll take it easy for a couple days, gallop lightly over the racetrack, and lead him back a week from now and see what happens.
Very good. I hope you get up to the race as well as he does. You're not going so good right now.
It looks like you feel a little better after the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I never have lost any faith, Jim, in this horse. I've always felt he's a good horse. Whether he wins the Derby or not remains to be seen. The horse will decide that. But I've never lost confidence in him, and I think as the year goes on and the next year or so, I think this will be an important thoroughbred horse in the industry. So we'll lead him over here, and they decided on the racetrack, and we'll have a lot of fun and speculation this week. But when it's all said and done, the horses are going to decide it.
You feel that your horse and Sunday Silence are valid challengers then for the Kentucky Derby?
Most certainly. I think that you named the 3, and I'm sure there's some others. It's never a Hollywood ending and never comes up like we think it is. So I think you got to, at this point, if they enter 14, let's consider them all challengers and go from there.
Congratulations, Wayne. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Let's take a look now at the official order of finish in the Derby trial. First, let's have a look. Yeah, here's the official order. Okay, we'll do that again for you. We'll do the prices before we do that. Houston, as you see, paid $3, $2.40, $2.40, as we said. Balik at $2.60 and $2.60. Affirms Image at $3.40, and the Exacta paid $5.60. Wow, that's pretty low. You don't see him much lower. And the official order of finish: Houston, Balik, Affirms Image, In His Cups, Pulverizing, and One That Got Away. 1 week from today, the great Kentucky Derby, right here at Churchill Downs. And will it be Easy Goer, the super horse?